two schools rich in football tradition met for the very first time in the AAA title game.
Fairport, within 1 foot of reaching last year's title game, took on McQuaid in what turned out to be two entirely different halves of high school football. Fairport raced into the championship game after an emotional semifinal victory over County East champ Irondequoit, the only team to beat the Red Raiders during the regular season. McQuaid made it to the title game in similar fashion, defeating City Catholic League champ and arch rival Aquinas a week earlier. The Knights went on offense first and put together a 10-play touchdown drive. Quarterback Tom Quirk found split end Jeff Amoroso for a 36-yard pickup to the Fairport 14-yard line. Then, facing 4th and 1 from the 5, Quirk called on senior Jay McCloskey to try the left side. McCloskey got it all, and the Knights had a quick 7-0 lead. Fairport stormed right back behind their senior quarterback, Bob Gibbs, who this season added another dimension to Fairport's usual grinded-out offensive attack. Craig Fox, out of the shotgun, caught a pass and bulled his way to a first down to keep the drive alive. Then Gibbs, who threw for 974 yards during the regular season, fired another first down pass to Jeff Koch to the McQuaid 20. And after two Jock Monty runs got the Raiders to the 5. Number 44, Jeff Paris, got the rest. The extra point failed and McQuaid led by 1. Part of Fairport's defensive game plan was to stop McQuaid speedster Mike Scott, who rushed for 1,200 yards during the regular season. But there was no stopping Scott on McQuaid's next possession. The senior tailback raced 79 yards for a touchdown that gave McQuaid a 14-6 first quarter lead. Fairport coach Don Santini wondered whether his defense would be in for a long day against Scott and McQuaid's huge front line. But the offense had gained a certain amount of confidence during that first touchdown drive. And with Gibbs at the controls, it marched on McQuaid again. Dan Parsons caught a first down pass at the McQuaid 17. Then after another pass moved the Red Raiders to the McQuaid 5, Jacques Motti fought his way to pay dirt. And with a 2-point conversion, it was tied at 14 after 1 quarter. After the Fairport kickoff, McQuaid decided to try and spring Scott again. This time, Santini recognized the play and shouted to his defense. Jeff Carey heard Santini's plea and stopped Scott for a 3-yard loss, forcing McQuaid to punt for the first time. Fairport took over at its own 26-yard line. This time, the McQuaid defense came up big, forcing Jeff Paris to fumble. Safety Ted Denis recovered, and the Knights took over at the Fairport 33. Scott and Charlie Childs did all the work on the ground, and on 4th and goal, Childs gave McQuaid a 21-14 lead. 35 points had already been scored, and 5:15 still remained in the first half. McQuaid kicked off, and the Fairport special teams gave the Red Raiders excellent field position. Dan Breese's run back brought it to the 47-yard line. Bob Gibbs went back to the passing game. His first 2 fell incomplete, but on 3rd down, Dan Parsons got open, and Gibbs delivered a perfect pass, covering 53 yards. The extra point failed, and McQuaid still led 21-20. Mike Scott has been an electrifying runner for McQuaid, and the ensuing kickoff is one that both Fairport and the Knights will remember for years to come. Scott took off on a 90-yard race to the goal line. But that effort will not be noted in the Section 5 record books. McQuaid was caught for holding, and Coach Tom Sprague watched a dream return and a potential 8-point advantage turn into a nightmare. With the ball returned to the McQuaid 15, Jay McCloskey fumbled. Jeff Koch, voted the game's outstanding defensive back, recovered. 4 plays later, junior fullback John Finley scored from 2 yards out. Gibbs, who had thrown for 122 yards in the first half, added 2 more points around the left side. And Fairport led 28-21 in what will go down as the most exciting half of sectional football to date. Both clubs headed into the locker room determined to shore up their defenses in the second half. Fairport held McQuaid on its first possession of the second half, and forced the Knights to 4th down in the next series. But the Knights had a different plan. The fake punt was executed perfectly, and Dave Hodges had a 1st down. The Knights drove to the Fairport 34 before the Raider defense ended the drive by recovering Tom Quirk's fumble. Fairport took over, but their hopes of extending the lead failed when Rod Cooper intercepted Gibbs's pass deep in McQuaid territory. The defensive standoff continued. On Fairport's next possession, McQuaid stopped Jacques Monty for a 1-yard loss on 3rd down, and Fairport was forced to punt. Coach Don Santini said later that he had visions of a center snap sailing over punter John Finley. Santini's premonition proved accurate. With 1:28 left, McQuaid had the ball at the Fairport 23. With no timeouts left, the Knights went to the air. Quirk found Chris Hauber for a 1st down at the Fairport 7. On 3rd and goal, Santini had another premonition and called out to defensive back Steve Young to look for a pass to his side. Young heard him and responded in a very big way. The secondary had done its job. Now it was up to the others like Kevin Fiala and Jamie Fitzsimmons and Jeff Carey along the front. On 4th and goal at the 3, McQuaid went to Charlie Childs, and Childs was stopped 1 foot away from the goal line. Fairport had a 28-21 victory. For McQuaid, the first meeting ever against the Red Raiders ended with tearful emotion. The same held true for Fairport and Coach Don Santini. The Red Raiders had captured their first sectional title in 4 years.
We called this program the Final Five. In reality, however, all 10 teams that played in last weekend's title games deserve equal credit. There were 5 winners, but as Section 5 likes to point out, there are no losers in games of this nature.
That's right, Bill. Just getting there is enough. So our congratulations to those 10 finalists in this year's title weekend.
And our thanks to photographers Eric Johnson and Bob Curran and producer Mike Moran, who recorded every play from every game and put them together to tell 5 championship stories.
Now stay tuned for the NFL Today on TV 10 and a doubleheader, Philadelphia against St. Louis, San Francisco against New Orleans.
Today's Newswatch Sports presentation was brought to you by Choate Sports, 3000 Winton Road South, opposite Todd Mart Plaza. Choate Sports, the total team sports store.